Hello, I'm Brian Smith. Thanks for joining us for today's podcast, 5 Things You Need to Know When You're Selecting a Hair Salon. And we're focused right now in the podcast, we're focused on meeting with business owners and seeing ways that we can add value to the average consumer. So thank you, Leda, for joining me today. And we're excited to hear about a little bit about your story. And obviously you got a beautiful salon here and very successful salon. And why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started in life? How'd you start coming up and make your way to owning this great salon?
Sure thing. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me. I was really excited when I got chosen to do a podcast with Brian. So I am from New York City originally. I grew up with 5 other brothers and sisters in the city. Broke as a joke. Worked at my dad's deli since like I was 10 years old, flipping burgers. Just kind of worked my butt off constantly throughout my life. And I feel like now it's finally paying off for me, which is amazing. But I moved down here when I was about 16 or so with my family. Around 17, 18, I actually decided to run away, actually. My dad was physically and mentally abusive, and I was just ready to just grow my wings other places. So I went to Peace College, which is now called William Peace in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I got a communications degree, and that was in 99 to 2003. Throughout, I bartended, waited tables, always hustling, always working. It's just what I knew. That's what I know. Like, I've never been handed anything, and that's kind of the way I like to roll. I don't want anybody to give me anything. I like to work hard and do it myself. So
it definitely feels better when you earned it.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. So obviously I didn't do anything with my communications degree. I went right to hair school. Went to International Hair Design, which is now closed, but that was no, that doesn't make sense. That was 2004 is when I graduated. I was there for a year.
So they shut it down once you went through?
Yes, they said, now we have the best hairstylists in Raleigh. We are good. We can shut down. So after that, I worked for somebody in downtown Raleigh for about 2 years, and then I went out on my own. And I was in downtown Raleigh for about 13 years. Moved up to North Raleigh, had a room by myself for about 2 years. And then I opened up Tone, and everything kind of just flowed, and it all made sense. I never imagined myself owning a salon. I didn't know that I would be owning a salon. I was fine by myself, and I love things to happen organically, and that's what happened. And now I have 5 amazing other hairstylists in here, and they are rocking my world.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So it's a very common theme that I hear from business owners. You find a niche, you grind your way, you got to work like crazy, but you built your trade, you learned your craft, you mastered your craft, and then you had a larger vision, and so you pay the price, you take the risk, mm-hmm. which a lot of people won't do, and then you went out on your own and rolled the dice, but you just do whatever it takes when you're a business owner, and I know you have that.
Absolutely. And gosh, before social media, I was hustling and putting cards out on cars and flyers, and that's the only way I was able to grow my business that way. I did a lot of free hair. Like, I did anything to get referrals.
Build your brand. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can safely say that I have a lot of my guests have been with me since the beginning, 15, 16 years now. Okay. They are stayed with me. They love me. They appreciate my hustle and my kindness towards them. I think in any business, it's all about the client. It's all about the guest.
Any good business, it's going to be customer focused for certain. So, mm-hmm. Jumping into what consumers want to hear, what are 5 things that you think that a consumer should be looking for when making this choice?
So when you are choosing a stylist, the first thing is, like, when do you get a haircut? Most people don't know. Men is kind of easy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, my hair is getting a little bushy. In about 3 weeks, you're going to need a trim. Right. But women don't. Women don't know, like, when is a proper time. To be honest, before I was doing hair, I remember in college, I got my hair cut once a year. Once a year, because I didn't know. And I feel like a lot of people still don't know. So I wanted to break it down a little bit. If you have a short cut and you love that short style and you want to keep that maintained, every 4 to 5 weeks max to keep that short cut going. Okay. If you have shoulder length hair and you like that, if you like your length in general, if you want to keep the length, but it is not a short cut anymore, it's longer, then I would say every 6 weeks to maintain, because what you're going to do is the stylist is going to cut off exactly what grew out. So you'll never get to a longer length that you don't want. If you're trying to grow your hair, then I would say at least every 9 to 12 weeks, get a trim. Because your hair is like, if you look at your, you don't have pantyhose, you probably don't know what pantyhose is, but if you did, I'd be a little bit worried.
Right. Don't have any directly. Yeah.
So if you get a run in your pantyhose and you don't stop it, what happens? It goes all the way up. It's the same thing with your hair. So if you don't get that trimmed off, it's going to go all the way up, and then you're going to end up with long, straggly, ugly hair, and nobody wants that. So I get if you're trying to grow it out, don't go to the salon every 6 weeks, because now you're never going to get anywhere. Go every 9 to 12 weeks and get a little trim.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Another thing, I get a lot of clients that ask, well, I don't really want a haircut, I just want a trim. They are the same exact thing. Because it doesn't matter how much we're cutting, we're doing the exact same technique, with layers and the wash and the blow dry and all that stuff. It's a matter really of time. So it's not so much, well, I'm only getting this off. It does not matter.
Right. Still about the same time commitment.
Mm-hmm. And it's not, your hairstylist is not being evil or mean. It's just, that is what it is.
Well, you got to get paid for your time. That's the way it works.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was number one, right?
Yes, that is number one.
So number two?
Number two, color corrections. And I think a lot of people probably maybe even never heard the word color correction. They're like, what is a color correction? So a color correction is basically anytime you're changing your hair color to a different hair color. So if you've got dark color on your hair and you want to go lighter, that is a color correction, and vice versa. It is always a color correction if you're changing the color of your hair by at least a level or two. It is considered a color correction. It gets really hard in our world when somebody comes in with a box color, something they bought at Sally's or Walmart, and they're like, well, I put this on my hair 4 months ago and I want to be platinum blonde. And a lot of people don't understand that when you put that box color on your hair, it is there for life until it grows out. So even if you have, your roots is natural, you don't have any color here, but you did it 4 months ago, what we're gonna pull up is that old color. So it's pretty impossible to get a platinum ashy blonde without doing a few sessions. It's gonna take a few sessions, because if you try to do it in the one shot in the salon, your hair is not gonna be on your hair, it is going to be on the floor. I can promise you that. It's all about patience when you're trying to do a color change.
Okay, well, that's definitely good to know. So number three.
Number 3, what to look for when you are looking for a new hairstylist. And the reasons of like why you want to leave your current hairstylist. Do they have patience with you? Are they running on time? Do they actually give a crap about you? Do they care about your hair? Those are the reasons that people are going to kind of stray from a stylist. So you have to ask yourself, well, does my stylist actually care about me? Or is my stylist looking out for me? Is he telling all the information that I need to know? And if they're not, then, if you want to look for a new hairstylist, obviously come to Tone. That's where you're going to get the best. But if you are in another area, or you're just looking for a new stylist in general, Instagram. Instagram is a great place to go, because that's where you're going to see your stylist, basically their online brochure. So they're going to put out their best work, easy peasy, look at shots, see what they're doing. Also, don't be scared if they're a new hairstylist, because it's not about the length of time in the industry anymore. I would say about 10 years ago, everybody was looking, okay, well, how long have you been doing hair? Where did you go to school? How many heads of hair have you done? But to be honest, nowadays, there are people coming out of school that are phenomenal. Phenomenal in the new techniques that some old hairdressers that have been doing hair for a long time don't keep up on.
Staying up with it, just continuing ed.
Absolutely. Yes, continuing education is huge, huge. As a stylist, I mean, we spend thousands of dollars a year on education. Also, it is mandatory for most stylists. Unless you're grandfathered in for over, I think, 20 something years, then you don't have to do the education. But then I'm like, well, why? Like, we have a certain amount of hours that we have to do as a stylist, but here, especially, we go above and beyond on that. I mean, we love taking classes. But, you know, our expertise on what we've learned does reflect in the price when you are looking for a stylist. So, you know, if they spent thousands and thousands of dollars to learn their technique, you're going to want to trust them. And if it's a little bit higher, I'm telling you, it's worth the price.
Yeah, I can tell you that, and again, we spoke about this a little bit before we started, that I would pay $150 not to have a bad haircut.
Absolutely.
You know, so I'm willing to spend a little bit more to know that, you know, I'm getting a professional that has that track record, that has that expertise for sure. Hair's just too important to be messing around. You can't mess up a hair thing. So what are we on, number 4?
Number 4. So products and why to buy them in the salon. It's not for corporate greed. It is because if you go on Amazon or you go to Rite Aid or you go to, you know, Ulta even, you don't know if somebody actually bought those products and then returned them and put junk in it. You know, like you were like, oh, well, that's a great deal on Amazon, or that's a great deal at Ulta, or Walmart, or whatever it is. A lot of the times that product is expired. There is a way to check the dates on the barcodes, but a lot of people don't know that. They can't see it. I wish that there were safety seals on products. I don't understand it. I do not understand why there is safety seal on like milk and all your other goods, medicines. I get medicines, but like shampoo, conditioners, I don't understand why there's no like safety cap or just to see if something's been opened. You can't do that. Right. So when you buy it from a salon, you know that it's coming right from the distributor. So if anybody were to ever return anything here, I would dump it, return it, or to the place, to the company, or I take it home for myself. Right. And like, well, I doubt they did that. I mean, we don't have that happen a lot. So.
Right. Well, that's good.
All right, number 5. I think there's another word in the salon that people don't know about, and that's called a toner or a gloss. When you get a highlight done, most of the time what's happening is you're pulling up hair that is now been exposed to the environment with the heat and everything that we need to do to pull up the highlight from your natural color or from like a box color or whatever it is from. But you typically do need a toner or a gloss. It's kind of like when you get your nails done and they put that clear coat on the top. 99% of the time you're going to need that. So I think some people are like, why did I get a toner? Well, why didn't I get a toner that time? Or, you know, another word for it is gloss. And that is why. That is why. Also, like if the color comes up a little bit warm, you can alter the color a little bit and make it a little more cooler. Everybody loves that ashy blonde right now, the real white blonde, and it's pretty nearly impossible to do without a toner. So I think some people think, oh, well, she put a toner on my hair, it must be a mistake. And that's not the case. Okay. So I wanted to kind of clear that up. Your hairstylist has not made a mistake. It is literally for perfection, just to make it even more perfect.
You want it right.
Yes.
You know? So that's awesome. Those are great tips. And lastly, I just want to say thank you. You and Joe. I watch security customers for a long time. I've known Joe for a couple decades now, and you guys have always been great assets and great referral partners and great friends too. So thank you so much for your time today, and hope this added some value to everybody, and see you next time.
All right.